You just heard Ravel's sardonic masterpiece, Laval's, and that recording with Pablo Harris Casado with the Frankfurt Symphony, Frankfurt Radio Symphony. They've got a fabulous online presence, this group. A lot of their concerts are actually reproduced in excellent, with high production values, and it's all there online, and they're really worth looking at, these concerts. They're just tremendous. So, yeah, we're just talking about the Vals before, and I thought we'll herald the program with that today. So, thank you for tuning in. I'm vk3sl, and we're slowly winding up the gramophone, and with the intent of playing some historic material. It'll be the last program for quite some time, because this is a holiday spell for me. And I'm planning to do a few things, hoping to get out and about, do a bit of a hike next week, and I think we're away over Easter, so that'll probably mean that we won't have missions after today for at least 2 weeks. So that's the way it's looking at this point. So anyhow, you're there, Frank?
Yes, I wasn't tuned up properly.
That's all right, no worries.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, I've been out at the footer today. My son's joined another team, and but it means a lot more travelling, because it's a team about 3 suburbs away, and which means the matches are 6 suburbs away.
Oh boy!
So I was out at Templestowe this afternoon, but I was able to come back a bit early. He's got to lift home. I watched some of the game. Yeah, so it's all good. Yeah. Anyhow, so just sharpening up the gramophone needles and getting ready to go, and we'll sort of, as I said before, this will be our last for a little while, until the end of beyond the end of the Easter break, actually, because we'll be away.
Yes, a lot to look forward to there.
Oh, yes. I'm looking forward to just a change of pace and all of that. So, yeah, and that's your news. You've had a chance another day to digest that fabulous concert we went to yesterday.
Yes, I was so glad you were both able to go.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have that opportunity. It was just marvellous. Thank you so much.
Be able to keep going.
Yeah, I'd look forward to it.
it.
Oh, would do. Absolutely. Yeah, it's really, really good. So for the listener, we have Frank and our respective partners, we all went to hear this renowned organist and pianist, and he's a radiologist,
general all-round
yes,
good bloke.
Yeah, extraordinary musician, and a great bit of a visionary, really. He certainly has a fantastic insights into the music he plays. He's been playing for a very long time. He has his own little studio where, well, not little, it's significant, with a pipe organ and a beautiful Stewart grand piano. And we heard a program mainly of Bach's music yesterday, and it was just absolutely spellbinding. It was wonderful. So still reeling from that. And we sort of diverted yesterday's program. We sort of had late missions yesterday and played music that related to the concert. Now, I often like doing that, not necessarily playing the same pieces, but just encapsulating the event and sort of reabsorbing it on a different
Keeping in the zone.
Yeah, totally. That's it. So that was all good fun. So haven't really thought about today. I've just quickly ran in and grabbed a couple of 20s hits, and I haven't even checked to see what they are. Oh, here we go. What condition's this in? Oh, yeah, it's all right. It's playable. This is a good one. I have played this. It's EA3. It's the third electric recording made for his Master's Voice, August 1925. And it's got some pretty raw lyrics, sort of about bullying, really, and about university culture. I have played it before. Yeah, the song's called Freshie, and it's sort of builds upon 2 big silent films that came out around that time. One was Harold Lloyd's The Freshman, and the other one was a film called College with Buster Keaton. And they're both interesting films. They sort of look at the youth and university circles and the whole rah-rah-rah scene, but they both focus a lot on bullying, and the underdog gets frightfully bullied in both films and ends up sort of winning the day by being innovative, showing a lot of intuition and catching the bullies out. So it sort of has a good end. Both films have a good ending, but the theme is pretty raw, and it's something that probably should be spoken about a lot more.
Good that they took that on back then.
Yeah, that's right. it's sort of a discourse on university culture in both instances. And but yeah, this record was made very much with those films in mind. And
It's kind of gone down into high school culture now.
Yeah, well, it certainly has, and there's a lot of that. So the words, I actually wrote them out years ago, and the words are, "Why do they all pick on Freshie? For he's a nut, nothing but a straggly hang around. Why do they all pick on Freshie? At every meal he of course gets the apple crust. They hate him no matter what they do. It's just to spite him. So why do they all call him Freshie? Because he ain't what he is and isn't what he was." So it's all sort of nasty
Yeah, I get the picture.
Yeah, and it goes on. It talks about, you'll hear. I'll play the record. I think the vocals, they get. It's an interesting one because they get the whole band to sing the vocal chorus, so they'll sort of chant it very much in that college,
Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, very much so. So it's got that sort of vibe to it, but a very interesting record from the early days. If I can find my turntable starter upper. So a little bit disorganised today. Here we go. We've got the disc in motion, and I'm going to switch in the noise reduction because it's a pretty overplayed record. But anyhow, it is worth hearing. So back to 1925. There we go, Waring's Pennsylvanians back in 1925, very early electric recording, and they really hadn't got it sorted because it's. I think acoustic recordings probably sounded better than that. The tone balance wasn't particularly good, but.
It was a very good recording.
It's a very interesting recording.
Interesting, that's what
Yeah. Where did you get that stuff? Drop that cigarette. Don't be smoking it. Guess you'll think you're tough, huh? Wipe that smile off your face. Get those ears in place. Pull in your neck. Don't try to eject her hard-boiled soft boy.
Yeah, you sure get the feeling, don't you?
You get that sort of, I mean, look, I don't think things have changed probably in some respects, but I'd like to think we're perhaps a little bit more egalitarian. Maybe not. Maybe not.
The US colleges start a bit earlier, don't they, than our unis, like in terms of age?
I think you're right. I think they do.
So you're really talking about like a year 12 or maybe even 11.
Yeah, totally. That's it.
Which is more in line with my understanding of bullyism here.
Sure. Yeah, I sort of see it more as a high school phenomenon now, to be honest. But and it tends to, my experience, by the time most people get into the later years of school, they're pretty much adjusted, or a lot more adjusted. Not always, but and I don't know. It's probably not good to generalise with this type of topic.
No,
because we've all had experiences.
We have indeed.
Yeah, but
mine are certainly much earlier.
Sure.
Than that.
Yeah.
Younger kids.
Yeah, definitely. I had a shocking time in years 7 and 8 and 9. It's terrible. Yeah, but I probably brought it on by being a bit different.
My kids had a hard time of it.
It's
various reasons. I won't go into.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, it can be really really compromising, and I suppose it's different now. It's a lot of the bullying is more cyberbullying and sort of it's more insidious.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah,
and the common understanding seems to be that it's more common among girls. I don't know whether that's right.
Yeah, it's a different type of bullying, I think, amongst girls, but it's
a very nasty.
Yeah, very insidious and very sort of I don't know. And kids don't feel like they can betray the tribe, and they get caught into this sort of they sort of get lost
in the
cyber world. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But anyhow, that's the theme. But I'll move aside from that, and I noticed that up on the sort of the algorithm charts, it's just the YouTube algorithm, things pop up, and I think it must sort of be in line with what I've been listening to lately. It picks up on the theme. But I've noticed that an early recording of Duke Ellington's popped into the sphere.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, really early, 1927. So at that time,
it's the Cotton Club?
It's before the Cotton Club, I think. And he had a band called the Washingtonians.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah, so it's sort of the very beginning of Ellington's oeuvre, and it's a classic Ellington track, actually. But it features Bubba Miley and on the trumpet doing all of the wonderful growling and jungle sounds. He's just such a great musician. Sadly, he is a part of the 28 Club, one of those people who unfortunately just drank himself to death.
Really?
Yeah, like Bix.
Jeez.
And in fact, one of the last recordings of Bix Beiderbecke, he's playing along with Bubba Miley, and they both met their demise shortly after. That was a few years later. But this is 1927. It's got a classic Ellington lineup. It's got people like Tricky Sam Nanton playing trombone, and Otto Hardwick is on the alto sax. He hung around. The Duke himself, Fred Guy banjo. It's Sonny Greer on the drums.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these musicians were with him in the Cotton Club era, but it's such a great track, and it's one of Ellington's sort of signature pieces from that earlier period. But let's have a listen to Black and Tan Fantasy.
Oh, yes.
Okay, there we go. That was a little bit of a muffle missions transfer. I've heard much better than that, but anyhow, we got the spirit of the
It was
piece.
still great.
Oh, it's marvellous. It's just great. I love it. It's raw,
That kick that Duke got off on his own, didn't he? That's almost into the jungle music stuff.
Yeah, it certainly was the style that prevailed.
Black, brown and beige and all that.
That's it. And those early days of the Cotton Club, he really sort of had a signature sound, and that exemplifies that, I think.
He wrote a real lot of music when you put it all together.
Oh, totally. He was really active right through from the word go. And that's pretty as close to the style as we've got. I think there are a few recordings from 1926 thereabouts, but he was pretty young. Interesting stuff. Now, another theme I was going to sort of embrace from recent listenings is, two things really. I was going to play some recordings of the Dorsey Brothers and Glenn Miller because there's a number of records featuring them of great interest. But before doing that, I thought we'd hear another record from 1927, same period, but recorded in England. And it's a recording of Fred Elizalde and his band that I'd never heard before. And it is just truly magnificent. It's really great. You can hear that Elizalde is channeling these very much the sounds of the US. I don't know if he spent much time there. He was, I think, of Filipino origin, and anyhow, he ended up in Britain for a while. He worked at the Savoy Hotel and had a very progressive band. In fact, they sort of kicked him out because he was too progressive. And a fabulous pianist. Probably one of the most interesting early bands to play in Britain. But yeah, look, anything with his name on it is good. It's really good. And so, look, I'll play this now. It's called Stomp Your Feet, and another Brunswick. And the last record we heard was also a Brunswick. And this, dates from that time with Fred Elizalde at the piano, and he wrote and arranged this piece as well. There we go, Fred Elizalde and his music from the 1927. Interesting piano solo, full of cross rhythms and suspended chords and diminished
terrific.
sevenths. It was very progressive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a great musician. He had a fabulous ear, and he had these great insights. I think he was very inspired by the stuff that some of the progressive small ensembles, the likes of Bixens and others in the US, and he sort of brought that to the fore in Britain. We had a guy called Jack Jackson, who's the trumpet player on that, and very much studied Beiderbecke's playing. You can hear the breaks are quite similar. The other side of that's been put up online just in the last couple of days as well. It's a very rare record. I don't think it was circulated much, and it would have been probably hard for the public in Britain to really embrace. It sounds quite sort of mainstream to our ears today, but back then some of that sort of obtuse rhythms and little gear changes would have been probably a bit seen as a bit extreme. But the other side is a well-known jazz standard called Clarinet Marmalade. And we'll hear Jazz Jackson and Fred Elizalde and others from his Savoy, players who were all active within the Savoy scene, anyhow, under Elizalde's name. Yeah, quite a remarkable record. That piano solo is amazing. It's truly amazing. I'm going to play that again. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. Check this out. There we go. How about that? Amazing solo. That
Certainly was.
Look, I'll give you his bio. We have done programs devoted to Elizalde, but I'm always keen to come back to his music when something new pops up. Born in Manila, and I think he's partly Spanish and Filipino heritage.
Yes.
And at the age of 7, he entered the Madrid Royal Conservatory, winning first prize on the piano at the age of 14. Then he went to St Joseph's College in London to study law and went to study law at Stanford University in the 20s. His musical interest prevailed and he left the university. He took composition lessons under Ernest Bloch, my God, at Stanford, and gave up law temporarily for music, leaving the school in 1926. Then he embarked on a career as a jazz band leader, leading the Stanford University Band at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles, where he studied composition. He recorded with the Cinderella Roof Orchestra in 1926. And then returned to England, where he entered Cambridge University in the autumn as a law student.
Oh my God!
This lasted for another year, and soon after reaching England, Elizalde formed a new band. It goes on. He was very involved at the Savoy Hotel, and he was renowned for bringing American influences to British jazz, and he ended up bringing quite a lot of excellent American musicians came out, followed him back, and sort of became mainstays in the British scene.
Very interesting. I wonder why he kept dabbling with the laws.
I think he must have been really interested.
He might have been.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was probably taken with it. He eventually went back. He went to study with Siegfried Wagner for a while in Germany. It's an amazing story. And actually, he ended up going back to conduct a symphony orchestra in Manila and stayed there for the rest of his life. But he wrote a lot of music and classical music, and I think he sort of stuck with classical music from that point on.
Have you heard any of that?
Yeah, he wrote a fabulous violin concerto in sort of quasi-modern style, and I played it in one of our early emissions, the whole work, and it's a masterpiece. It's really well written. I mean, he's a very perceptive musician. You can hear his sort of...
I've forgotten.
That's all right.
If I was involved. It might have been before I started.
It might have been. I can't remember. We can play a little bit of it. The Elizalde violin concerto is amazing.
Look, I've got to wind, unfortunately, in about 15 minutes.
Oh, do you? Okay, all right. Look, we'll save it. We'll save it for another time, and we'll do a feature on him.
Yeah, I would love to hear a little.
He made lots of solo piano records in the earlier period too, which are all worth hearing. So what we can do is feature those, and then play the violin concerto. But it's certainly worth looking up and listening to. It's great. I think he wrote symphonic works as well, but he worked as a conductor right up until the 1970s.
He was a real force majeure, wasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly was. Amazing musician. I have great admiration for his playing. Now, something else that's popped up are recordings of a group called the Cotton Pickers. I've got 78s of them.
Yeah, I remember the Cotton Pickers.
Yeah, but it's actually
McKinney's Cotton Pickers.
Well, this is the interesting thing. We've got McKinney's Cotton Pickers, which was a black band, and they were extraordinary. They're the band, one of the bands under the Goldkett umbrella.
Yeah.
Goldkett was a manager, and
They're different, are they?
Yeah, and the McKinney's Cotton Pickers was a black band that played in Detroit, and he had a black band and a white band, and they had alternative nights, and they jammed together all the time. And the white band was the one Bix was in, and which Paul Whiteman eventually bought out.
Yeah.
And the black band was McKinney's Cotton Pickers, and they both played at the Greystone Ballroom, and it was an incredibly fertile time for syncopated music with those two bands, sort of, but they couldn't play together publicly. They would have done so privately all the time, but they couldn't play. So that was the way it was back then. But this band called the Cotton Pickers was actually, I can give you the blurb, it's actually a white band, but it notably featured Jimmy Dorsey, Tommy Dorsey, and Glenn Miller.
Oh, really?
And at that time, Tommy Dorsey was playing trumpet, not trombone.
Trombone, huh?
So it's quite interesting, we see him in a different guise, and this is early stuff. So these are records, mate, and he's got a fabulous sort of raw style of playing, does Tommy. And see if I can find it. Here it is. I've got to get the right one. There's two versions of this. One's much better than the other. Transfer's much better than the other. So we'll just quickly line it up. I'll get it onto the list, and then we can fire up. But yes, notably, this record has both the Dorsey brothers and Glenn Miller, all probably around about 20 years of age, and well before they all sort of had their meteoric careers in the following decade. But yeah, fabulous record called Kansas City Kitty. bit of a lead-in, I think, on this. There's a band called the Cotton Pickers, and featuring both Dorsey brothers and Glenn Miller in the mix. And just a really, it's such excellent sense of flow and homogeneity. They really
moved along.
Oh, they certainly did, and it's great to hear Tommy on the trumpet. There's other interesting recordings featuring both of them. They had their own orchestra from the late 1920s. They had a sort of a very public falling out and then went on their own merry way after about 1932, 33, and that's when the famous Dorsey brothers, they had their own orchestras, and then they sort of they get back together and they have another falling out, but they didn't do much until the late 1940s when they made that film called The Fabulous Dorseys, where they came back together and sort of looked at their heritage, and they sort of candidly look at the way they fell out. I mean, they're just two very big egos, really.
Yeah.
But the early stuff is really, really interesting. And Jimmy Dorsey particularly, he was a great improviser. Tommy, very smooth player, but I think Jimmy was the great talent. But
more of a jazz muso.
Yeah, he was through and through. I mean, he was really a pioneer, and just a great imagination.
Tommy was a swing muso.
Yeah, more so, and a smooth player. And when he moved to trombone, he was just his work was characterised by those beautiful long lines, and
lovely stuff.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it at all.
Oh, I just love it. I think it's marvelous. So they found their own domain, really. But early days, these early recordings of them are just interesting. Now, this one features a young Bing Crosby, and I think he just made one or two records with them in 1929. And so Crosby wasn't far away from being. I think they were all, or he was still involved with the Whiteman orchestra at that time. But anyhow, this is called The Spell of the Blues. It features a young Bing singing very much in the jazz style, and the Dorsey brothers in tow. So have a listen.
it's your call. Blues, you get the big and small. Rich man, beggar, or thief, somehow there's no relief. Oh, blues, you're bound to get us all. When you try so hard to smile and life doesn't seem worthwhile, then you can tell you're under the spell of the blues. When you try to sleep, it seems nightmares take the place of dreams, then you can tell you're under the spell of the blues. Some bad omen, like a hoodoo, hovering over my head. Not a jinx, not a voodoo, something much worse. Oh, it's a curse. Shadows chasing after me. Blue skies while you're laughing me. Gee, but it's hell when you're under the spell of the blues.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, lovely.
Isn't it marvellous? Young Bing Crosby with the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra. And
Could you date that?
1929.
29, okay.
Yeah, and that very declamatory trumpet solo was actually Tommy Dorsey playing trumpet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Crosby made a couple of records with them, and another one is of particular interest because he's singing the Cole Porter song "Let's Do It."
Yep.
But with the original lyrics. In fact, there's a bit of a preamble here. I can read this. It says, this is the famous Cole Porter tune sung by Bing with the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra from 1929. It's probably the other side to the record we just heard. Listen to the words Bing sings because he does not sing, the birds do it, the bees do it, but he sings the original lyrics. Okay, I wonder what Cole Porter thought of singers changing the lyrics to his songs. Changing the words changing the words to a Cole Porter song is like changing the words to the Declaration of Independence. They say
Pretty much.
Yeah,
He got it pretty right.
Yeah,
First time.
yeah. So this is the words. I think what we mainly hear is sort of an adaptation. Well, it's the next generation. This apparently is the original. So I'm quite keen to hear and listen carefully to what he's actually singing about, what the inferences might be. Bear with me.
let's do it, let's fall in love. In Spain the best upper set, do it, Lithuanians, and let's do it, let's do it, let's fall in love. Why the Dutch in old Amsterdam do it, not to mention the Finns, folks in Siam do it, think of Siamese twins, some Argentines without means do it, people say in Boston beans do it, let's do it, let's fall in love.
Okay, I think the difference must have been pretty subtle because they're the lyrics that I know.
Yeah, they've just left out that first verse.
Yeah, they just did. Yeah,
That's the only, I'm pretty sure that's the only change.
Yeah,
It was a nifty little indie, wasn't it?
yeah, it's great. I love the way it sort of has that.
I loved it.
Those little postludes. It's very much in the character of the times. Now, have you got much time, or are you about to go, or what's
I
the?
could go any time. We're just waiting to get the call.
Yeah, sure. So look, if you happen to be called out during the song,
Yeah, if I disappear,
yeah.
and I'll say now goodbye to the listener, and we won't be on for some time.
Yeah, that's the story. I'll probably be up Mount Jagungal, up in the high plains next week, and looking to do a 4-day walk if I can.
Yes,
And
enjoy your walk with Liv. That should be wonderful.
Yeah, it should be good. And
The others as well, having their own great time.
yes,
Kate.
yes. Everyone's doing different things.
Where's she going overseas?
Oh, they're going overseas in the middle of the year.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and that's when I'm doing my 3-week walk.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is just a practice walk, but yeah, I'll be away mid-year for quite some time, and for at least just on 3 weeks actually,
Sure.
and so that's a little way away, of course. But the Easter I'll be away as well. So Kate and I are doing something at Easter. So that's for the next couple of weeks we'll be sort of out of service, but we'll of course be back into the next term. So after the Easter holiday, the Friday of that week probably be around then. But I'll be in touch anyhow there, Frank.
Sure, Steve. Yes.
Yeah. And so, listeners, that's the situation. Okay, we can hear more of the Dorsey Brothers Band because we're sort of on a bit of a themey, rolly thing here. They made a few with Crosby. I didn't realise. I've heard this too. This is a great record. My Kind of Love is the.
I'm going to switch on the recorder anyway, so I'll
Sure.
be able to hear what.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. Well, I might run out with a bit of a playlist too, or I might find another Eric Child. I should do that. Keep those rolling too.
They're great.
Yeah, I got some really good feedback from Mr. W. He was listening in, and he heard a track. This is the great thing about those Eric Child programs. You get the jazz program, then you get the news bulletin from 1974, and then you get another mainstream program full of surprises. And here he found a particular connection, which I thought was great.
Really a bit of a nice time warp, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's fabulous. It just sort of gives us, and he sends his greetings to you there, Frank, as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. W.
Yeah.
And reciprocated.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, My Kind of Love, Bing Crosby. So if you're here, you're here. If not, all the best to you, Frank. Yeah.
Thank you, and to you, Steve.
Okay.
Family.
All right, let's go.
3JR listening.
kind of love, your kind of love keeps me believing, although you're deceiving. My kind of love is one way to paradise. Oh, my kind of lips, your kind of lips, when love comes stealing, encourage that feeling. My kind of love is one way to paradise. Although you're happy today, you may be gone tomorrow. Love comes but once, don't be a dunce. When you meet it, steal it, beg or borrow. I'm fond of you, you're fond of me. Tell me you love me, hug me and squeeze me. My kind of love is one way to paradise.
Bingle Boy there with the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra. And just featuring them a little bit today. It's been sort of in the pipeline for a little while. I've been wanting to catch up with some of those recordings. They made quite a lot. They were very active in the studio, and they're mostly musicians from the Whiteman orbit. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if he underwrote those recordings, because I think they are still under his patronage.
He was a real benefactor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he certainly was. And but yeah, I know Crosby was making records for Whiteman, but I don't think they're exclusive contracts. I think that he allowed his musicians to have breathing room.
My meal's been delayed, so
okay, great.
I can stick around.
Fabulous, great, excellent. All right, we'll continue with we'll play a few more of these. I don't know if there's any more with Bing, but there's a couple of other records which are very vibrant, fabulous performances. And great arrangements, and we'll have one called Breakaway. This came out same year. Most of these are from about 1929, but all worthy of a listen. we go. That was Breakaway, big hit from 1930, featuring the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra. Bit of a feature group for today. And I loved that chase sequence between Tommy and Jimmy at the end. That was great. I really like Jimmy Dorsey's improvisations. He sort of reminds me a little bit of Artie Shaw. It's not quite. He plays with your expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's always something, a little bit of juice or a little bit sort of, I don't know, a bit wacky. And I find I get quite captivated by his solos. I think he was a great musician. Tommy's solos are great too, but I think they're more, I have a feeling his were written out. But anyhow, they're good to hear. In fact, I think Artie Shaw told us that they're written out. But he may have had an axe to grind.
I was going to say he'd be delighted to tell that.
Yes, he would.
Pass it on.
Yeah. He certainly said that about Glenn Miller. He thought that Glenn Miller couldn't improvise at all, which, well, that's probably true, but doesn't matter. He's still a good band leader. Yeah. All right, we'll play another one. There's quite a lot in this vault, and this one is called "Oh That Kiss." While I'm playing this, I've found another. There's many of these swing shows. Unfortunately, I haven't been ticking the ones I've played, so I'm not quite sure what I played, what I haven't. I played about 3 or 4 of them. And if you want to hear more of these Eric Child programs, by the way, listen on Shortwave Australia, because Dave's got about 50. I gave him heaps of them, and he's dubbed them all off, and he's been playing them every evening. So it's really good listening. I mean, they're fantastic. The only thing is, I'm not sure. The earlier ones I know had the announcements cut out. I'm not sure if this is a case in point or not, but I'll find out in the next few minutes, and we'll put this one on the list. But in the meantime, let's have a listen to All That Kiss. More music from the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra.
Makes the world go wiggling while the stars are jiggling all around the moon. Ooh, that kiss makes you dream of fairies. Then you hear canaries sing your favorite tune. What is love but the kisses you give and take? What is love but a helping of angel cake? Nights like this have a swell reaction. What's the big attraction? Ooh, that kiss.
Okay, another track from the Dorsey Brothers Orchestra before they went solo. And we sort of know them mainly from their respective bands. They were sort of really active in the swing era, lots of recordings, and they had a very different sound. And but in the early days, they did everything together. And I think Tommy was younger than Jimmy, a few years younger.
Right.
But they died within a very short time of each other in the 50s, and it was... but yeah, they had one of those love-hate relationships where they were very, very close, but perhaps too close, and just whenever, used to apparently bicker and argue all the time.
Oh, really?
But interestingly, if you see the film, the Dorsey Brothers, we should play some snippets from the film. They sort of mock their own arguments.
Really?
Yeah, they play to it in a way. But sadly, they made that film and then didn't last that long after. But anyhow, Frank, look, what I might do is I might just whack in that Eric Child program now.
Sounds good, Steve.
Yeah, and because I've been reminded that Kate's father's over for dinner tonight, so I might go in and stick my head in and just let this tape go. I'll keep an eye on things. I'll listen where I can. I may even listen deeply in retrospect. But I do notice this old QMaster 77, it's the motor start capacitors are starting to fail, and every so often it'll just stop.
Okay.
And it needs a restart. So if there's a bit of dead air, I will come back.
Okay.
It's just the nature of things. But anyhow. So thank you, Frank.
Thank you. All the very best to you and to Kate.
Yeah, thank
Indeed.
you. And to the listener too, all the best, and wishing you well, and have a great Easter and all
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, and all the best to you, Ian.
Indeed,
Yeah,
yes, g'day.
I've still
Hello.
got. Yay! When we get back, I've still got your pile of records next to me here, and so we'll feature some more of those, and lots of other classical faves as well. There's so much material to draw on, so that's all good. So wishing you all the best, and I don't think there's any other news. Frank, you're going to see St. John's Passion, aren't you, over Easter?
On Good Friday.
Good Friday, my goodness.
At the recital centre.
Oh, it'll be amazing.
Will be fantastic.
It'll be incredible.
I was listening to the final chorus on air this morning.
Oh, tremendous.
Is that my favourite?
Yes, yes. It's so gorgeous. It's wonderful music. Commend it thoroughly, folks. The two passions, J.S. Bach, they're just such high points in the music literature. Anyhow, but yeah, it's wonderful stuff. All right, well, enjoy, and thanks again, good peoples, and we'll look forward to your company, and we'll give Eric Child the floor if he's there.
Eric, come in.
I hope he hasn't been cut out as he has on some of these, but this is early. This is from 1972. On the box it says Swing Show, July 1972. So, yeah, we're going back a few years here, but it's a quarter-inch tape, and it's a full track, I hope. Again, I haven't tested it, but we'll let it run. So, cheers all. I'm vk3sl.
It's from vk3jr.
This morning, feeling weary and blue.
Oh, I woke up this afternoon, but I felt the same way too. Oh, too.
That makes us partners in sorrow. We've got blues enough for two.
I've got blues to spare, blues to share.
I've got blues in my heart and blues in my hair.
The mood is hard to lose. Why don't we pool these blues until we start to feel alright?
Okay, we partners in sorrow with the 50-50 blues tonight.
share. The blues in our heart and the blues in our hair. That mood was hard to lose. That's why we pulled our blues. But now we can see the light. We got the blues off our chest. That way is always the best. We lost the 50-50 blues tonight.
And a very good morning to you all again after quite some weeks. Louis Armstrong collections are growing by the month. If you've been missing a lot of the Victor tracks from 1932 to 1956, then they're on 2 very handsome LPs in a folder now available here, including some small groups and the fabulous Town Hall concert tracks, very much in demand. The one we've just heard, 50-50 Blues, recorded 1947 with Jack Teagarden, Peanuts Hucko, Bobby Hackett, Ernie Caceres, Johnny Guarneri, Albert Casey, Al Hall, and Cozy Cole on drums. The personnels are not complete on the LP, incidentally. It's strange to hear members of the Ellington Band in any other setting unless perhaps as leaders of small groups, but in 1944, Juan Tizol, Johnny Hodges and Ray Nance enlivened the sound of the Woody Herman herd. And although Neil Hefti was in the band, this arrangement of Perdido was by Dave Matthews, and it's from the Swaggy collection, which is called Swing Out. Perdido from Woody Herman and members of the Ellington Band in his outfit at that time. The tenor solo was by Herbie Fields, recorded, let me see now, when? 1944. During the middle and late 30s, a South American guitarist called Oscar Alleman was very much a part of the Parisian jazz scene. His name appears in lots of personnels of the period, and some say that, or people who heard him extensively, say that he was the equal, perhaps, of Django Reinhardt. Well, now you have a chance to hear a good deal more of his solo style in 4 tracks on Volume 2 of Swing Sessions, small groups and piano solos from those times, released here on HMV. This is Volume 2 of Swing Sessions, and Alaman is supported by John Mitchell on guitar, and the bass player and also the vocalist is Wilson Myers.
Every night, you'd hear the Russian lullaby. Just a plaintive little tune when baby starts to cry. Rock-a-bye, my baby, somewhere there may be a land that's free for you and me and the Russian lullaby.
Very much the Paris sound in 1939, influenced, I suppose, a great deal by the quintet of the Hot Club of France, and that was the South American guitarist Oscar Alaman with John Mitchell on guitar, and Wilson Myers was the bass player, and he also took the vocal chorus. Swing Sessions Volume 2, that one, with 6 tracks by Freddie Johnson and his band. He used to have a band called Freddie Johnson Swingmen from Harlem. This one contains Louis Bacon, Alex Combell, Freddie Johnson on piano. There are 4 tracks by Garland Wilson too, I suppose one of the last links with the Harlem Stride pianists. I think I'm right in saying that was a pretty rare Count Basie quartet item. It was called Lopin. It comes from an American Victor LP called, without any fuss or bother, Count Basie. The baritone player was Ronald Washington, not Jack Washington, with the usual rhythm section: Count Basie, Walter Page, Freddie Green and Joe Jones. I suppose someone one day will expound the theory as to why Duke Ellington seldom had a vocalist to match the rest of the band. It's not altogether hindsight to say that Ivy Anderson was the best of them, because this was the opinion of quite a lot of critics at the time, and any prophecy that he wouldn't get a better one, I think, was fully justified. Ivy Anderson with Duke Ellington in 1939. And if you go back that far, in 1930, Mood Indigo was called Dreamy Blues. Now, a couple of brass men who'll be here on Monday with Earl Hines. The third, Wild Bill Davison, sent us a little message last week.
Where's our host? Dave, I think you should play a long introduction to It's So Peaceful in the Country, written by our very good friend Alec Wilder. Ready?
I guess that's got it, Bob. Alec's here, isn't he?
I didn't mean to steal your line. Alec is here, and thank God he's here. Very wonderful writer.
Now, what's those lines? Those are all penitentiary offenses.
Try not to sing this, right? Don't sing.
If you don't, I won't.
Bobby Hackett and Friends at the Roosevelt Grill in New York in 1970 on Chiaroscuro. Alec Wilder's It's So Peaceful in the Country with Vic Dickinson, Dave McKellar on piano, Jack Lesberg and Cliff Lehman. It's quite possible that Jack Lesberg and Bobby Hackett and possibly Wild Bill might be listening to the programme. That, of course, is if Jack wasn't playing too late at the opera last night. Anyhow, if you are listening, welcome to Australia, and the weather's fine. Eddie Condon, of course, was on hand at that recording as unofficial MC, and they had their usual insistence on giving the composers full credit. Now, the third brass man, who might be here at the moment, I don't know if he is or not, is Clark Terry. He's the trumpet and flugelhorn soloist with a background of Count Basie, Duke Ellington, jazz concerts, festivals, and a lot of studio work. A very busy man by all accounts, and I think we're pretty lucky to be able to hear him in what has been called a tribute to Louis Armstrong with Earl Hines. This Riverside session from 1958 teams him with Thelonious Monk, Philly Joe Jones and Sam Jones. Orrin Keepney has produced the original session, I think, with great success. Yeah, that was Clark Terry with Thelonious Monk, Philly Joe Jones and Sam Jones, a thing written by Clark Terry called Zip Coed. A play on words, of course. What we call a postcode in the States is called a zip code, I believe. I haven't been there, of course, but I understand that's the practice. Now, to finish up with, I think we'll have a little Australian jazz. The big sound, the second and possibly final, unless we can find a benevolent sponsor, the final recording by the Daley Wilson Big Band. It's been out a few weeks, possibly a couple of months by now, and this one is called Cole's Dilemma.
Oh, I was hoping we'd get to the end of the song, but that's it. That's the end of the tape. So, yeah, an abrupt finish, but nevertheless, a very interesting program. It's Swing Time, recorded off-air in July 1972. It's from the Peter Lord collection. So, really delighted to have these tapes at hand. Thank you, folks, for listening in. I'm vk3sl, and we look forward to your company in about 2 weeks. 2 and a bit, maybe. Yeah, not next weekend, not the weekend after, but the weekend after that, we should be back on board. Have a fab Easter, folks, and thank you for listening.